Why am I awake right now? It is freaking too early. What's going on, everyone? I am pooped. How are you doing today? I am pooped. I'm tired. I had to be up at 4 to watch this game. Could have watched the replay, but instead I chose to watch the actual game live. And it's currently 6:30 and everyone in my house is asleep, so I apologize if I'm a little bit quieter. I'll probably turn the volume up just so you guys can hear me. But I wanted to record this video right away. It probably won't go up right away because I need some sleep. I only got like 4 hours. That's my fault. But we got the dub today, and that's all that matters. We got the dub today. We did it. Finally, a very comfortable win for us. Us being Chelsea, of course. Now, we just got done playing Crystal Palace, came up with a 4-0 win, a very convincing 4-0 win where we dominated and actually closed out a team when we were dominating. So I'm going to go right into it. Our lineups, excuse me, against our lineup was a 4-2-3-1. A little bit surprising. It's a bit of a different lineup from Lampard. We had Mendy in goal, Zuma and Silva center back pair, Chilwell left back, Chilwell, oh my god, Chilwell. I'll talk more about him later. Azpilicueta right back, Conte Jorginho the center defensive mid pair, Callum Hudson-Odoi right attacking mid, Werner left attacking mid, Havertz finally playing down the middle at center attacking mid, and Abraham up top. On the bench we had Giroud, Kovacic, Kepa, James, Pulisic, Mount, and Tomori. On the bench we had Giroud, Kovacic, Kepa, James, Pulisic, Mount, and Tomori. Pulisic made his debut finally this season, which is huge, but overall it was an interesting lineup, a bit different, not really entirely what I was expecting. Werner playing on the left is probably the part that surprised me the most, but it turned out to be alright. So it was an interesting choice, but worked out in the end. Crystal Palace lineup a 4-4-2, Goyata in goal, Sako, Kouyaté the center back pair, Mitchell left back, Ward right back, Townsend right mid, McCarthy and MacArthur the center mid pair, Eze left mid, Zaha and Ayew up top. On the bench, Dan, Hennessy, Benteke, Kelly, Milivojevic, Meyer, and Riederwald. Now I think I put Batshuayi in my prediction for on the bench, and I actually didn't know that he couldn't play against his parent club. Not always the case. That's not always the case when loanee plays against their loaner. Most of the time, well, I won't say most of the time, but I was not expecting that. That Batshuayi wouldn't be able to play. Now, I know Gallagher wasn't able to play last week with West Brom, but I wasn't really expecting it again. I don't know why I didn't see it coming, to be perfectly honest. But regardless, that was Crystal Palace's lineup. Now, heading straight into the first half, we had some sloppy giveaways early. It was a little dicey in the first 5 minutes or so. Sorry about that. But we actually looked really good coming out of the break, and it continued, and it pretty much set a trend for the rest of the game. We came out of the break, we had some good penetrating passes, we were getting past, well, not really past their defense, but we were getting it through around in their half, around in their defensive third, trying to break Crystal Palace, but their shape was incredibly good. They were stout and they were patient, and we were just plain simple, we were way too slow in the first half. We would bring it to the left, their defense would adjust here to the left, and then we try to bring it back to the right, their defense, but by the time we get it to the right, their defense is already adjusted, and we just could not break their shape because we weren't moving fast enough. We weren't being electric, we weren't being explosive, we were just simply letting their defense dictate how our offense was playing, essentially. And I mean, for Crystal Palace, it definitely frustrated us. It frustrated Chelsea a lot, but ultimately I think it did end up costing Crystal Palace. They refused to attack and they refused to really press until the end of the game in the second half, and they just focused so much on defense, and it really showed in the first half. We were frustrated and couldn't get through. We were dominating possession. We started getting some 1-2s going. Our first shot came in the 14th minute. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Abraham. And eventually it just kind of became a question. The question arose right away. Whose defense is going to crack first? Because Crystal Palace were obviously waiting for the counterattacks and Chelsea were pressing high. So whose defense is going to crack first? Who's going to make that mistake? And I mean, judging by our track record, it should have been us. But fortunately, it wasn't. We did well to keep our own shape. We weren't really going out of our way to... We weren't overstretching ourselves or trying to cover positions that we really didn't need to cover. And we were really good at keeping our shape. Thiago Silva was actually a really good anchor in defense this game. He made some good predictions, some good reads, some good interceptions, some good tackles, and he had a pretty good game overall. He was a pretty solid anchor in the back. And eventually, finally, in the 18th minute, we had our first shot on goal through Werner. It was a nice link up between him and Havertz. It was the first time we had really broke at pace. We broke at pace and really took it to Crystal Palace. Like, you know, it was just a quick counterattack and we almost scored, but yet we still refused to play quickly and move around quickly and do all that quickly. Instead, we chose to just continue to pass it back and forth between left and right and then bring it back and then bring it back up, and that just wasn't working against Crystal Palace's defense. We were being aggressive. There were quite a bit of fouls in the first half. It was a total of 14, 8 for Chelsea, 6 for Crystal Palace, and it was, I don't want to say it was like a high tension game. It really wasn't, but there were quite a bit of fouls and it wasn't quite an aggressive game. And I actually did put that as a little prediction on the side note here. I put going to be a physical game, and ultimately it did turn out to be a pretty physical game, pretty aggressive, a lot of fouls. I did put Crystal Palace could easily break, and it became painfully obvious on a couple counterattacks that they could very easily score on one of those counterattacks and we would be behind just like that. But fortunately, we were controlling possession enough to keep Crystal Palace off the ball in terms of their offense, disrupting their play. Our defense did quite well at holding Crystal Palace back. And then another thing, well, this is how much we were dominating, is I believe the 26th minute. I might have missed something. The 26th minute, though, is I think the first time Crystal Palace actually had the ball, possession of the ball, in Chelsea's 18-yard box. So we were dominating the game for a good portion of that first half, pretty much the whole first half, and that showed it. I mean, we dominated the whole game, to be honest, but that first half, we just couldn't do anything with it. It was like Spurs, where we dominated the first half, and I was afraid the second half was going to be exactly the same. But fortunately, it wasn't. Now, whistle blows, and again, we dominate, but not this time. I mean, at least against Spurs, we got a goal. At least against Spurs, we got a goal, but we ended up losing that. But this time, we didn't come away with anything because we were just being way too slow on the ball. Now, the second half starts, and immediately I wrote down the note, make possession count. That was key for us to come away with a win in this game. We needed to make the possession that we had count. Now again, the Crystal Palace defense was stout. They were disciplined. They were keeping their shape and refusing to give Chelsea any kind of gaps until the 50th minute. There's a bit of a scramble in the box. I believe Abraham heads it and it just falls to Chilwell and he rifles it. I believe it was Werner and Havertz were like right where the ball was going. They were on either side of it, but they just backed up. I don't remember if Chilwell called for it or not, but they both just backed up and let Chilwell just take it one time, and he rifles it into the net, and we get our first goal. Now, this goal was huge. It was big for Chelsea because we now it was supposed to, basically. It was supposed to force Crystal Palace out of their shell, force them to press more, meaning they would break their defensive shape, and we would find more gaps in their defense, which kind of happened, but Crystal Palace kind of refused. I mean, they were pressuring a little more. They were pressing just a little bit more, but they just refused to break that defensive shape and refused to press at all. Despite being a goal down, they kept their cool and they kept their shape, and they wanted to rely on their defense. And again, that's why I said I feel like their focus on defense ultimately costed them this game. Now, by this point, Chilwell and Thiago Silva for me both look particularly good. Chilwell was probably easily man of the match for this game. He was excellent going forward and solid on defense, which is Marcus Alonso would give us, that offensive presence, but he just was never present in defense. Like, he wasn't present enough. He would make too many mistakes and he would get caught out a lot. But Chilwell did have a couple times where he got caught out, but ultimately he did keep his cool on defense and he did really well, especially playing out the back too. And he looked really good. Again, Thiago Silva looked like a good anchor, and then Aspi and Zuma just looked solid defensively. Zuma, speaking of Zuma, dangerous. So there was a corner, comes in, and it immediately gets, I forgot who it got sent to. It might have been Havertz, or I think it might have been Azpilicueta. And so Azpilicueta gets it, and he passes it back out to Chilwell, who took the corner, who sends a cross right back in, and who's there? Kurt frickin' Zuma for the goal. He heads it in, and suddenly we are up 2-0. Now, I love the fact that our left side looked just as dangerous as our right side has been, if not more, and I think that's mostly down to Chilwell. He's a very dangerous left back, and my God, he's already looking like an amazing signing for us. And he's young too, which is a huge plus. So he's gonna be around for a bit. And our left side just looks so dangerous. And by this point, we're dominating the game. Like, we are completely dominating the game, possession, passing, everything. We're just controlling the game. It's all in our favor. But Crystal Palace weren't quite put to bed yet. They still weren't really pressing by this point, but they were still kind of holding us back. Down 2-0, yet it still didn't quite feel like Crystal Palace were out of the game just yet. And then Abraham has a nice little dummy in the box, and he is taken down by Mitchell, Crystal Palace's left back, and penalty. Both the penalties in this game, in my opinion, were a little weak. There was contact, and I feel like there just wasn't enough for it to be overturned. And then, well, I'll get to the other one in a second, but they were just a little weak in my opinion. It is what it is. I don't. Jorginho gets a couple goals, cool. It's an inflated scoreline. But yeah, Abraham gets taken down. Jorginho takes the pen and buries it, of course. And then by this point, Crystal Palace finally starts to press. They start actually pressing Chelsea and throwing bodies forward. It's about the last 15 minutes or so is when Crystal Palace do start to throw bodies forward. But you can tell how frustrated they are. And I feel like it's really only themselves. They only have themselves to blame. They played very defensive despite being down 2 goals at a certain point, and refused to just break that defensive mentality, and it costed them. Now in the 81st minute, Sacco trips up Kai Havertz, and there was definitely a foul leading up to it, in my opinion, and I was really surprised that it wasn't called. I think it was Michael Oliver who was the ref, and I'll be honest, that was a foul, and I don't understand how it wasn't called. The penalty shout later on, I really thought that was soft. I feel like that was really soft, and it would have been very generous of the ref to give that a penalty for Ayew and for Crystal Palace. But I think that the second penalty for us was kind of dog. It was just bad. Like, how do you miss that foul? That was a foul. It was a foul, and that penalty should never happen. Again, it was a weak penalty, but it's not likely gonna get overturned by VAR. So of course he's gonna go on for the spot kick. But there was definitely a foul leading up to it, and it's just an unfair goal against Crystal Palace. It hurts their goal differential early, and it's just not fair to them. Now, with that second penalty, though, there was a bit of a scuffle. Abraham wanted to take the pen, and he was trying to, but Azpilicueta, being the captain, eventually said, no, Jorginho is our penalty taker. Come with me. He's like pushing him away. Abraham is clearly upset. And then Jorginho, of course, steps up and buries the second pen. And Abraham kind of disappointed me in that. You know Jorginho's our penalty taker. You know, he's missed one against a very good goalkeeper who made a very good penalty save. And you know that, so why are you trying to take the spot kick away? I mean, I get you're a striker, I get you need to score, but it's very unprofessional of him, and I don't know why he made a big deal about it. And then even when everyone's celebrating, he's over there like doesn't care seemingly, and he's just kind of throwing a little fit for no reason. I don't understand Abraham's mentality with that. It just is very childlike, and he was just throwing a little tantrum for no reason. Like he didn't get his way, but it's like he tried to take a toy from someone saying it's mine when in reality it's theirs. It's like, what's the issue here? Why you're making a big deal out of nothing? Now, final whistle blows, and honestly, I'm very happy with the performance. We dominated the game. Now, the first half, not so much, more so the second, because we dominated the game and we actually put away a team when we were dominating. Right? What? Chelsea? Putting away a team when we're dominating? What? Hopefully this starts a good trend for us. We can put away teams who are, you know, not even lower teams, just teams we're dominating. We need to put those teams away. Now, something I did mention earlier, there were 30 total fouls, 17 against Chelsea, 13 against Crystal Palace, so it was a pretty physical game. We did have 3 times as many passes as Crystal Palace. We had 646, they had 230. Well, it's like 2.5 or something like that, but you know, 3 times sounds better. You know, despite the second penalty and how I do disagree with it, I do think we were still worthy of the scoreline. I feel like we performed up to the standard of a 4-0 win, a very dominating performance that deserved a big scoreline. It was a very good performance from Chelsea. And again, this is how we should be putting away teams when we are dominating. Please, this has to be how we perform when we are dominating a game. We have to put these teams away. We cannot squander the possession that we have. But ultimately, I think Crystal Palace got in their own way and costed themselves the game. They took the game away from themselves and refused to press at all. Like they just refused until it was way too late. They were already down like 3 goals when they started to actually throw bodies forward. And I think they shot themselves in the foot, and they did let us have possession. I will say that they were gifting us the possession because Crystal Palace do play counterattacking football, but man, they screwed up. They should not have given us that much possession. They should not have let us have that much control over the game without any kind of response. That was their problem. They had some dangerous attacks, but they never felt like they were really gonna amount to anything. You know, there was a dangerous build-up, but they would fizzle out. So ultimately, I think Crystal Palace shot themselves in the foot in this one, but I'm still obviously going to give credit to Chelsea. They did what they had to do. They dominated. You know, they were handed the possession, and in the first half, they didn't use it. In the second, they used it more efficiently and closed out this game as they should. Now, overall, I'm very happy with the performance. It's a good 4-0 win, clean sheet, and this is a good morale booster. This is a good showing of what we're capable of, and I just hope that Conte is healthy. I know that's random. I didn't bring it up, but I just saw it on my notes, and Conte did come off. He requested that he came off. Apparently, it was a thigh injury, and I'm glad that he decided to play it safe instead of, you know, forcing himself to play out the game. Just play it safe. You feel the injury, come off, and hopefully he is okay. I know that was random, but I really hope he's okay. And we need to have more performances like this. 100%. These are teams we need to beat. These are teams we need to beat. These are teams we need to beat. I don't care how it gets done, but it needs to happen. And this needs to happen more often. And when we face against the Big Six, we need to be ready. So this is a good showing for what we're capable of. I think it's a good showing for what we're capable of, and it's very exciting to see where these players are going. You know, Thiago Silva's growing in that defense as more of an anchor and controlling it and being captain, a voice back there, and then Chilwell obviously put in a shift today. So I want to see more and more and more and more and more and more of what we just saw today. That's the gist. That's the overarching theme today. More of what we saw today. It doesn't make sense. But yeah. My 2 interesting facts about the game. 4 out of 5 of the Chelsea defenders actually speak French. The 4 being Zuma, who is French. Thiago Silva, who played in France. Azpilicueta, who I believe started in France. I don't remember actually, but it's surprising that he speaks French. And then Mendy playing in Ligue 1 and Mendy is French, right? I'm pretty sure Mendy's French. I'm like 99% sure Mendy's French. Chilwell being the only one on the defense that doesn't know French. So I mean, it's a good way to help out the keeper. And I just thought that was interesting. It was very weird. And then another one that I did bring up in my predictions, and I did say that I would steal it and put it in here. Steal it for myself. Well, steal it from whoever found the statistic, I guess. But regardless, this was actually our 6th straight win against Crystal Palace, which is the first time we have done that against Crystal Palace in history. We've never gone 6 straight wins against Crystal Palace. So very interesting. I'll be very interested to see how long we keep that streak going as well. Yep. But yeah, overall, I am happy with the performance, and I am excited to see more of this in the future. I am tired. It is now 7. This is too early for me. I can't do this. This sucks. Anything for Chelsea, right? Anything for Chelsea. That's just what I have to keep telling myself. Oh. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified when I upload. Go check out my socials. My Twitter is @BlueHermit1. My Instagram is @BlueHermit_. Please share the socials with your family, friends, everybody you know. Let the people know Blue Hermit's where it's at. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.